Guy, what a tremendous story. Now, this is so crazy to me because I honestly didn't know this was a true story. Then I started researching it last night, and I just fell down this crazy rabbit hole about this guy. And wow, what an incredible story! But this is unlike most movies centered around World War II. Can you tell me what your reaction to the script was when you first read it?
Well, it was a couple of things. I mean, I was first made aware of it by Ridley Scott. Ridley is a producer on the film, and I know Ridley a little bit. And he called me about it and told me about it. So I got a sense of the story through him first, and then he sent me the script. And he'd already sort of told me about what a flamboyant character Han van Meekeren is. And Ridley was always very gracious and complimentary of my performance in the King's Speech. so I think he thought that, anything to do with sort of color and movement, I'm the guy, and I was obviously taken by the character's, sort of peacock style nature, but ultimately the more vulnerable side of him as well, the artist that had seemingly failed and was therefore trying to kind of survive in another sort of way. But the story itself is really fascinating. Even if you without sort of giving too much of it away, even if you look at it just as a guy who is selling, very rare and expensive artworks, national treasures from the Netherlands to high-level Nazis. I mean, that's just crazy business, So clearly this guy, Han van Meekeren, has a level of narcissism that just is off the charts. There's nobody in this world today or the last 4 years that we could think of who could be that narcissistic. So really quite a sort of individualistic, survivor, I suppose. But of course it led to this incredible trial.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, the other interesting aspect about this, which we don't really delve into in the film, is that Han van Meekeren died 6 weeks after the trial.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, he had 2 heart attacks and he dropped dead 6 weeks later.
Wow.
So
Crazy. Now, Van Meekeren, he was a real person. Can you talk to me about how your approach may differ in preparation to play a real person?
Well, it's different. I mean, ultimately, even if I do a film that is just a film script and it doesn't exist even in a book, but it's just a film script, I'm searching for clues as much as I can anyway, and it may just be the way the writer says that a character puts down a prop, but he's reluctant to put it down because it means something to him. But, so little sort of clues about the personality of a character. You're always sort of looking for that stuff, because that's the stuff that I guess I rely on. And of course, if a script is based on a book, then you go back and read the book, and usually, like LA Confidential, for example, which covers an 8-year period in the book, there's all sorts of extra elements that you can, draw from. Then, of course, if you're playing a character who existed before, there is actual, documented material of that person's life, but that ranges from one letter between, him and some other person to tons and tons of documentary video footage, like with Andy Warhol, for example. So ultimately, though, as far as I'm concerned, they're all real people, because I'm going to play somebody who's meant to be a real person. But there is an extra sort of pressure if you're playing somebody, particularly somebody who's well known, I guess, but even if they're not that well known, because when I was here in Holland making this film, I was very aware of not offending Dutch people as I was, trying to play this Dutch character. So you always want to make any character as authentic as you can and do it successfully and be convincing. As Tom Hardy says, there's only 2 kinds of acting. There's convincing and unconvincing. So whether it's about a real person or not a real person, you're still wanting it to feel authentic,
Sure, absolutely. Now, another question I had for you is, look, I just went down the rabbit hole very, very briefly last night, and I spent maybe 3 hours just watching different documentaries and fascinating little stories. But upon your research for Van Meegeren, is there anything that you kind of discovered that may have surprised you?
Well, I found it all surprising. I mean, I was just ultimately taken by how hurt he sort of was, and then what he did with that. How he then sort of manifested a life of you know, absolute sort of glory for himself. Because I think, and my understanding of that is that the for him to sort of be stuck in the pain was just too painful,
Right.
and that really he felt he was far more deserving of something more grand than that. So he wasn't going to wallow in the, it's funny, I've got a friend at home who, he's a wonderful artist. He really is a wonderful, wonderful artist, but he always feels hard done by in life because he hasn't had the success that he believes he deserves. And I'm always looking at him thinking, you sort of really do deserve the success that you're talking about, because you can't cope otherwise. You're
Right.
just not functioning in the world otherwise. So I really hope for you that you do have the success that you want, because then at least we can all relax a little bit, And I think some people just sort of cultivate a sense of what they think their life should be. And there are other people who probably settle for things a little too easily in life, when really, if they tried a bit harder, they could actually do a whole lot better. So there are people at both ends of the spectrum. I feel I sit in the middle somewhere, where if I get some bad criticism, I go, "Yep, you're probably right. Wasn't my best performance. Okay, I take it. It's painful and it's humiliating, but I'll take it on the chin and I'll move forward and try and do better next time." And if I do a job and people talk highly of it, or they're complimentary of my work, I also don't get carried away with that. I think, okay, don't take this for granted. Just appreciate that I did a lot of hard work, and it's worked well. Good. Okay, leave it behind. Let's leave it there. Move on. Still got to do a good job next time. So I feel like I'm quite practical with my ego.
Well, I mean, it's incredible because you truly do disappear into this role. Like, even so, I do my best to kind of stay away from trailers a little bit. And as soon as I see you, I didn't even know it was you. So I had to keep
Well,
watching, and I was just like, wow, like you completely transform it. Like, this is what I find when you see something really special on screen, that somebody just disappears into the role, and I don't watch Guy Pearce anymore. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what you did. So one of the questions I had for you is, what did you want to bring to the role that may have not necessarily been on the page? Because there's mannerisms. You said it best yourself. Peacocking. Like, he has this peacocking sense about him. Like, even just the way you sit, it's just kind of like these small little intricate things that I picked up on, that was like, wow, what a brilliant performance.
well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And to be honest, I feel like it's there on the page, because if it's not there on the page, I then really struggle. Because if I've got to invent stuff myself, then I don't trust it.
Sure.
I don't. I feel like I'm second guessing myself a little bit. If it's there on the page, even in the most minuscule way, there may be one hint. As I say, I'm always looking for clues, and there may be one hint on page 25 that then gets me through the whole film.
Oh,
But if I am reading something and I go, I can see what they're going for, but this really feels like it needs another writer to kind of really just get deeper in here. I could do it, but if I'm the one having to do it, then, because I also really believe that whatever it is I'm picking up from the script, other people are picking up from the script too. And I feel like we all need to be inspired by this script
right.
in order to all move forward together to do it well. If I'm on my own, then I just think, I'm answering to myself, and that's always bad. I think it's much better for me if I don't have to work too hard to create a character. But if that character, if as I say, if there's little clues and bits and pieces there that I respond to, then and like all the great films that I've managed to be part of, like Memento and LA Confidential and Priscilla and all those things, you read those scripts and go, oh, I could do this now. Let's start shooting. Like I get it. I can, I can feel what it does to me, what it does to my body, the sound, and obviously I work on a voice and I work on movement, and, it does take time to sort of get that stuff in your body so they can roll camera and it can just happen.
Right.
So I'm probably not ready to start shooting something the day after I read it. But if I feel like I am, then that's a good sign. If I'm reading it going, okay, what am I going to do with this? Bugger. If I'm doing that, then usually it's a pass.
Now, I want to talk for a second about your co-star, Claes Bang. I hope I said his name right. Phenomenal. Like, this is another thing that just ups you guys' game, is like seeing you two, the chemistry you guys have is phenomenal. Can you talk to me about what surprised you about his performance?
I mean, he's so delightful. He's just such a delightful human being. And the thing I find about Claes is that he just is of another time. He really is like an old-fashioned, I mean, the way he looks, he's so beautiful and sort of, classic looking. He's quite extraordinary. And he has this incredible, he's really quite intense and very intelligent, but he has this lovely, gentle, quiet, relaxed quality about him too. And as soon as we met each other, it was like we just looked at each other and went, yeah, okay, good. Like we just instantly connected. We're very good friends now, as with Dan Friedkin, who directed the film.
Yes.
But Claes and I think we just felt like we came from the same place in a way, sort of outside Hollywood, him from his little country, me from my little country, and, both the same sort of age. And yeah, it's just a really sensitive, but smart guy and wonderful to work with. Like, it's great when you work with great actors. The thing that I always say about being an actor is working with better actors, and, just feeding off each other. And he's really, just sort of sensitive. And the good thing, we had a great shorthand where he could say to me, look, do you mind slowing down on that line, because I need the time to process this and this and this, and if you go through it too quickly, then I'm and I think generally he and I could kind of go, okay, good, yep, I'm here to help you, absolutely, man, and if something doesn't feel right, I'll tell you. And so we were really respectful of each other, which was wonderful.
Now I want to switch gears for just a second. Like, me and my stepdaughter I'm introducing her to the MCU, and we just watched Iron Man 3, and she loves your character. Eldridge Killian, she loves the character. Any chance that you would be open to reprising that role in the MCU again, especially with the advent of Disney Plus and Marvel like really booming over there?
I would certainly consider reprising it if they were interested in doing so. So it was fantastic. It was great. I loved playing that character. I loved working with Robert, of course, and Shane, our director, and Gwyneth, who, is adorable. So yeah, I had a really, really great time. Who knows how we could do that?
Hey, there's that What If series coming out, so they could always bring that character back. But I did want to ask you. You mentioned Dan really quick. I want to talk about him for a second, because he's a first-time director on this. But you would never know by watching this film, because he's quite. I mean, it feels like he has what he wanted to get down. Can you talk to me about the collaboration process working with him and just his directing style?
Well, he was really collaborative and very open from the beginning about wanting to let us know that he had great respect for the histories that we'd had. I mean, he said from the beginning, look, you guys know what you're doing. I'm not here to tell you what to do. And I said to him, well, the thing is, Dan, thank you, that's great to know, but ultimately if something's not feeling quite right in a scene, you've got to speak up and tell us. And he would, but he's great at delegating, Dan. He's not interested in wasting time trying to do everyone else's job. He's just very good at going, this is what I want to get, and he's just very open, and he's quite a humble guy, he's obviously hugely successful in business in totally other fields. And he's obviously produced some films. He's got production companies with 30 West, and so he's had good success in the production side of films, but he just genuinely has a real interest in actually getting in there and and directing. And so it was lovely to sort of I mean, I love working with first-time directors as well. I love working with directors generally, but it's great working with first-time directors. But he's not a normal first-time director, because he's not a 21-year-old kid who's just come out of film school going, right, I'm going to make this film. You know, he's a seasoned human being. You know, so he was delightful and great sense of humor, and yeah, we had a lovely time. And the first 2 weeks was really just me and him and Clace in Dan's house in London, you know, working through the script. And, you know, because we had a couple of questions about the best way to reveal what we reveal in the courtroom.
Oh,
And the
that's
script,
amazing scene.
well, the script was in a, you know, there was sort of a few options as to how that would play out. Because in real life, you know, obviously in our film, we see that the painting that I'm working on throughout the film is then revealed in court. But in real life, that painting was done in the courtroom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that court case went on for a very long time because Han van Meekeren did a painting in the courtroom. But of course, he didn't want the whole film to be a court case. So there was a few liberties taken in the way in which the story was sort of structured, you know. And Dan was very honest in saying, I just want to make sure this works. What do you guys think? Like, if we reveal this, then is that going to spoil this? Like, why don't we try it this way? Why don't we try it that way? So it was great that he brought us in for that almost writing process early on.
Amazing. Well, Guy, this film is incredible, and like I said, you like really disappear into this. Amazing job, and it's crazy for me to even think that I can't believe that there are some of his paintings still in museums now that are passed off as Vermeers, which is crazy to me. But man, what a fantastic film! I appreciate your time. I really do. Thank you so much.
A pleasure. Absolutely great, Joe. Good to talk to you, mate.
Good to talk to you too. Take care. Thank you very much.
Look after yourself.